Thank you for staying with us. And I wonder why I'm so excited this morning. Maybe it's because Fumi is here.
Yeah.
Well, our focus today is raising leaders. How early and at what stage do we begin to recognize our future leaders, or their qualities of leadership?
And also when we're told that the leader's most important role is to provide clear and compelling direction, ensuring followers understand, embrace, and collectively work towards achieving goals and setting new targets.
So, for me, who receives your vote for a good leader?
Well, in my organization that I work currently,
Yes.
my MD, Lekon receives my vote for a good leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who received your vote for as a good leader?
Who received?
For you?
For me?
Yes.
Can I award it to myself?
As a good leader. Well, your followers will have to tell us if you're a good leader.
Okay, JS's followers, let's know if he is indeed a good leader or a follower.
Okay.
Maybe feedbacks will tell us that.
Yeah, sure. Feedback will tell us that. And some of my followers, quote unquote, are the ones behind the stage.
Yes.
Helping, to do all of that.
Yes.
Anyway, so a quick reminder that when John and I have done justice to who is a leader and leading plus following, Farrah Wotoma will be here to take over with her guest, Steve Harris, and you don't want to miss this. She'll be discussing tomorrow's leaders.
Yes. Charity, they say, begins at home. And as such, our first guest on the show today will look at many factors attributable to good or bad leadership right from the family. She holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from the Lagos State University. Winner Global Nutrition Competition, Sunhitch 2020. Founder Baby Crubs, and an experienced nutrition educator, an accomplished entrepreneur, and a lot more. Please welcome to the program, Seun Sangoleye. Quite a rich profile.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Seun. Thank you for
much.
joining us this morning.
I'm glad you invited me. Thank you very much.
So the subject for discussion is, it's quite timely and very, very crucial to a lot of us. You're welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah?
Mr. John.
So, this claim to... First of all, let me start with you, because you are, a leader running an organization, you run Baby Grubs, you run all of that. How did you prepare yourself for the role that you currently, you have as a leader? Because, it's very easy to point and say, this man is not a good leader, this man is not a good leader. So when it's now your own turn to sit down in the chair and wear the cap, how did you prepare yourself for that?
Thank you very much. I wasn't expecting that question, but I think for me, working as an employee was one of the things that prepared me, to become a good leader in my own organization. I've worked with a lot of bosses, and I know being a follower, a good follower too, and then also understanding, their own pluses and minuses, their shortcomings. It just helped me pick from, their strengths, and then say, when I become a leader, when I have my own organization, this is how I want to run it. So understudying other leaders has helped. And also, I was raised, I would like to believe, to be a good leader. With the right values growing up. Those were the things that really helped me, that are still helping me in my business.
Okay, great.
And you know what? I always tell people that even when you are in a failed situation,
Yes.
you would have learned how not to do
fail,
things.
exactly.
Yeah, how not to do things.
Yes.
Yeah, so, well, of course, they say that the youth of today are expected to be the leaders of tomorrow.
Correct.
But that doesn't really happen without structures, What do we need to focus on to prepare ourselves, our youth for leadership tomorrow?
Thank you very much, Mr. Senaya. For me, I'm very intentional about parenting. And I think before they even become youths, it starts from the cradle when they're young. I grew up with my grandparents, and I went on to stay with my parents. But growing up, there were some values and some other things that they did, and I still do with my children. My first son, is 9 years old. He's the one that coordinates family prayers every evening.
Okay.
So one of the things that we can do is to give them tasks. Even my baby, she can clean the table. My baby she turned 4 last month. You know, after dinner, she clears the table and cleans the table. So if we want our youth to become good leaders, we need to start trusting them and giving them responsibilities from when they are small, you know, and also help them understand what a leader is and what a leader is not. I remember that when I was teaching my children about leadership, it took them a lot of time to understand what servant leadership was. And that was one of the things that was most important to me, because I see that our idea of a leader is the person that takes the biggest things, the lion's share of things. Our idea of a leader is the person who is the, you know, even though yes, it is the accomplisher of the greatest things and all of that, but there are other sides to it. There's a part where you make sure everybody is served. There's a part where you make sure that everybody is comfortable. You see things that everybody does not see. You are the one that is most uncomfortable. And so those are the things, the other side of leadership, that we need our youth to know and understand, that even though there's glamour and glitz in all of this, but there's still the other side of leadership where you are the servant.
Yes. I'm quite interested in your 4-year-old girl.
Thank
That's
you.
a baby leader.
I know, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, it leads me to my next question.
Yes, please.
Are leaders born or made?
It's a catch-22, but yes, both. I would like to think both. There are people that are born with innate skills
Okay.
of how to be a leader, what to do. You know, some people it's inbred. But there are other people that needs to learn. There's nothing we cannot learn. We can learn to be a good leader. And even if you were born with it, and even if you learned it, there's always room for improvement. You know, we continuously improve in our leadership abilities.
It's always work in progress.
It's always a work in progress.
Okay.
I'll use myself as an example.
Yeah.
I'm more of the rewarder type of boss.
Okay.
You know, so if I want my staffs to come to work early, so this was something I actually did. We decided to make breakfast available for anyone that comes in before a certain
I'd like
time.
to work for you.
You know, and then they started coming in. Everybody comes in early.
Oh, fantastic. That's a good.
You know,
that's a good
and then but it backfired after a while.
Okay.
And then so some people.
How did it backfire? What happened?
Okay, so I think from reports that I heard, their direct line manager was saying that sometimes they become just lax. They come in early, and when it's time to work, they are still trying to get into the groove.
Oh.
Maybe they had a heavy breakfast or something. I don't know.
Of course, it will be heavy.
And then
It's
he
free.
says. So I think that was what he said. But we made it lighter, but he would, and then when we made it lighter, some people decided not to come early, and they were coming late, and so he now said he wants us to, you know, use the other side, reverse it. I'm like, okay, we'll give it a try. And so I've had to be flexible, listen to the managers who are the ones running the show to see how they can get the best from their direct line.
Okay.
So yes.
That's what leadership is about, to be able to just change the strategy. You try something is not working, and you move on to something else. Okay, so I want to take you back when you were talking about, you know, your 9-year-old leading, you know, devotion in the evening. Well, you see that a lot of young people today, technology, you know, we think that everything's fast, pam, 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 you know, and they were telling, you know, our parents and people that, look, you're slow. All these things, you don't have to wait till, you understand? How do we begin to teach, you know, our children or younger people that, look, technology is there, that's made your life easier, you know, but you don't have to live on impulses, you don't have to live on that. How do you now, you know, merge all of that and ingrain proper leadership skills into?
That's still something I'm working on too. And I had to actually Google something. I Googled how to teach children resilience.
Okay.
You know, because not all children are the same. This same my same 9-year-old whom I said is great at, you know, coordinating everybody, getting his sisters ready to do things and all of that. And when they were learning to play the keyboard, he gave up because the girls were faster and they were going from lesson to lesson, and he struggled a bit, you know, to get the keys and the notes and all of that, and just said, I give up. And there was almost nothing I could say that would make him change his mind.
Oh dear.
But so I now see that resilience is something that everyone needs to learn, even adults and youths. And that would help us really to become, slow down and then just see that everything does not go like this.
True.
Even for me, I was, there's an entrepreneur I admired, and I was following her story, and I realized that even though it seemed like she's just here now, it took her 20 years. I'm like, okay, mine is just 8 years. I still have a long way to go.
True.
So we need to learn resilience. We need to teach resilience as well, and then put this into leadership. Don't look at everybody. Everything is not like this.
Sure.
And it reminds me of that story of the oak and other trees. There's a Chinese bamboo tree story too.
Oh, yes.
That takes
it takes about 5 years.
5 years
to come out
in the soil before it comes out. But when it comes out, it's firmly rooted.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that we need to let them understand, that it's not something that can just disappear or happen overnight. It takes time. If you want something good or something solid, it takes time to develop. Don't look at celebrities and say that, oh, they are here. Their life is curated. Everything that you see is curated. Everyone has their struggles and challenges. So take your time to go through yours.
Okay. So
life
you know what we're
steps.
going to do?
Yes.
On that note, on the bamboo, on the Chinese bamboo story,
yes.
we'll take a little break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we'll take it from there.
Thank you.
Don't go away.
Thank you for staying with us. The show is Today with John and Helen. In case you're just joining the conversation, which is centered on raising leaders. So our guest today is still Seun, Sangoleye, and she's here with us talking about how parenting is very essential in the leadership role. So now, Seun, I want to ask you, leadership skills are acquired in the classroom. Is that possible to acquire, for children to acquire leadership skills in the classrooms in schools?
It is possible.
Okay.
Very
Why
possible.
do you say so?
So there are so many things that you need to learn, and it's not just the academics. I know that for me growing up, and I still know that you have those type of things. You have class captains.
Yes.
You have the class reps and all of that. For me, when I was in primary school, I was made the timekeeper. And this was because I was so noisy in class and I never sat still. And so it felt like a punishment to me, but then it also helped me to learn how to be more on time in doing things.
Okay.
It also helped me to learn how to, get everybody to do things at the time they're supposed to do things.
True.
So that was leadership skills learning for me.
How come I was never made class captain?
Well, I was class captain.
I was never class captain either.
That's a joke, really. I think I was, I think I headed a few groups.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, not
You
the
be class
noisy
captain, but you
groups.
still join put and make noise to write names. So, hey.
Okay, so, well, now, we don't hope that kids will become, or children, I rather call them children, right? That they'll become leaders if we never let them practice. And that requires, stepping back and allowing them to step forward and possibly fall. Someone said to me, you fail
forward.
You fail forward, yeah? You heard that before?
Yes, I
Yeah. So, how ready are our parents to do this? Allow children to have a go.
Thank you very much. That's a really good question. We need to let them be children. Last night, my brother shared a story with me, and I'll just share it with you. My son had a funny haircut last night. And I was like, why did you cut your hair like this? He said, he didn't know it was the barber that cut his hair like that. And then my brother said, he remembers when he told my mom he needed to cut his hair a particular style. And then my mom said, okay, go ahead and cut it. She didn't stop him. And then he now said, cutting that hairstyle was the first and last time he ever did. Because he now learned on his own, not from my mom, that he should never cut that because of the type of things that he got. the reactions from people outside and all of that. And some people be like, no, I don't want you rolling with that kid and all of that. And so sometimes we need to let them make their own mistakes and learn.
That's failing forward.
Failing forward. They learn how not to do things. When my son was learning to fry plantains, he got it right the first 2 times. And then the 3rd time, he thought he was a pro. He was playing with his tablet and then forgot that he was fine. And then he burnt. And then he learned. I've always told him, be careful. You need to time yourself. You need to focus on one thing. Don't do this. And then he learned by himself. And so that's also another example of failing forward. They learn by doing things. And we should, give them the reins, the responsibilities. And they grow like that.
That's very instructive because you know that the average parent today wants to just shelter themselves. And sometimes these parents, you say something, I'll say to Yoruba and then I'll translate it. I suffered when I was growing up. I don't want my children to suffer. And we forget that is that suffering, quote and unquote, that built us with resilience and grit and everything. But anyway, my next question to you is about listening skills, because we find that a lot of people today don't even get to listen. We already have at the back of our mind what we want to say and we don't listen. So how do we begin to even build that in children? Because even with children, there's a lot of distraction. You mentioned tablet, there's TV, fast-paced world. How do we get them to calm down and listen?
That's a big one. I think we can start by setting some ground rules on explaining things to them. When it's time, when you're having discussions, don't even hold your phone. When you're having dinner, that's a great time or an opportunity to learn. And so focus on that person that you're speaking to at that point in time. And also when it comes to, for my children, it might be mean, but when somebody has done something to the other person and somebody is crying, I'd be like, go and cry. When you're done crying, come, let's talk about it.
Fantastic.
And so they can communicate without letting their emotions cloud,
judgment. Oh, wow.
So sometimes it feels mean to me, but I need them to, I separate the mother from the life coach or the emotions coach and say, okay, you need to tell me exactly what went wrong. What do you think it is? And allow them come up with things. They also need to learn to listen to themselves.
True.
So I don't rush to say things or save them. And so when they say that they have this challenge and I ask them, how do you think you can solve it? What do you think is the solution? What can you do better? What not to, so even though listening is to other people, you also as an individual, the children, even it's part of leadership,
Oh yes, it is. It is a part of.
Thank you. Sorry, dears. I just want to say something. You know why I'm smiling as you're saying this? 2 things came to me. First of all, I'm also in this habit that sometimes, I confess, I'm talking to my son and then I have my phone and he's, even though sometimes maybe they were just having us like a casual, nothing. I won't say maybe something serious, but this thing that you said about the fact that you shouldn't even have your phone while you're talking to your child, because my son has a phone, and then there was a day that I was telling him that so he has a limit of when he can use the phone, and I purposely got him that phone because to communicate while I'm at work and the housekeeper and all of that. So when I got home that day, he was still using his phone. He has to use it. He stops using it at a particular time. And then while I was telling him that you can't use your phone, I was still holding my phone. So he was asking me that, Mommy, how come you get to use your phone and I don't get to, I don't get to use my phone? And then the second thing on why I was smiling, why this resonated with what you were saying, is the fact that so recently he's in year 6 and they're choosing prefects, year 6, primary 6, and they're choosing prefects. He said he didn't want to be a prefect, that he wanted to focus on his studies because they even went to school today, so they're doing extra lessons on Saturdays, they get to go to school. And then I was still trying to convince him that, you should be a prefect. Your school has amazing leadership abilities. And you know that thing about listening to yourself. Guess what? I printed out the form for him. He did it, everything. But when he got to school, he did not submit it. It was even the teacher that called me and said, this young man did not submit, and she was apologizing. Even though I think eventually I got an email yesterday saying that, there was, I think maybe some assistant or something. So in this thing that you just said is very instructive to me, even as a parent, that we have to practice what we preach to our children, and then also we have to teach them to listen to their own things. I'm so sorry, James. I just had to.
It's okay. I was going to take us to an interesting part of family life.
Okay.
You know, I want us to talk about dining tables.
Oh.
Let's talk about dining tables.
Families have dining
You know,
tables.
because a lot of leadership skills are taught at the dining table. You remember you just talked about, you know, meal times is the best time. But you see now, we hardly find families come together for meals. What are we missing?
Things have changed.
Yeah, things have really
Things have
changed.
changed. And we might not really go back to how things were, but we can make the best of the time that we have. I think everyone should decide on one particular meal that the family can take together. So for us, I think, for me, I'm very intentional about breakfast and dinner. Most times, lunch, we don't get to do it together.
Yes.
But dinner is the most important for us, and that's when we sit all together. So when you decide on one meal that you all can have together, at meal times, you can have topics that you discuss. You can also have, have somebody share how their day went. You know, sometimes I realize that, sadly, if we are not intentional about these things, we don't even know what is going on in your
In
family
our
members'
lives.
lives.
True,
Yes.
very true.
I always tell my staffs that we spend more time together than with our families.
Yeah.
And so we have to be really intentional about our meal time. And that's really when everybody, you know, we are calm. We usually say don't talk while you're eating, but but it's an opportunity really to just
Yes.
catch up on your day, what's going on, how did, you know.
Even body language,
Yeah.
even when you're not talking.
Yeah, just
You know,
read.
catching each other's feelings, you know.
Yes.
Yes. So back to the dining tables.
But then, well, you know, I agree with her. Times have changed. You know, by the time somebody's in traffic, come back. Are you going to wait for your children to wait for you? It's not like before. Because I grew up with, you know, my mom was a civil servant. Our house was in Victoria Island. Her office was in Marina. There was no traffic like this. So if she closes at
back on
4,
time.
by
She's home,
4:20,
yeah.
4:30,
She's
she's
home.
already home. You know, so you know that worked. But things have changed, like you said. So my question to you: that all of these things we've talked about is good parenting.
Yes.
But who is teaching the parent to be a good parent? Because to raise all of these leadership skills, not every parent realizes this. So how does the parents now even learn their own, leadership skill and, parenting and ensure that they balance it?
Thank you for that question. And I think it's really important because children don't do what you say, they do what you do. Meaning that we have to model the ideal leader to them in their homes. And back to the table, like you said, one of the things that we do is, we wait until the children are served before we eat.
Sure.
That's one part of it. We don't say daddy should take 5 portions of meat when the children take one. It can be
It can
flat.
be democratically.
It can be if you
Children
say
actually
so.
need the protein.
They
more,
need it more
actually.
actually. So that those are the things. And who teaches the parents? Like you said, there are people who are gifted at these things. For me, I like to use myself as an example. My grandparents were very intentional about parenting. My grandfather would teach me things, take his time. And he was not a traditional person. There are no tasks that are for boys and some for girls.
Everybody across
I learned how to, I brought my gadgets to the house when I got married. My soldering iron, my screwdrivers and all of that because I was very handy. So we need to learn, let's not put ourselves in boxes or put the children in boxes. And we also need to learn, the same way we learn about leadership, we need to learn about how to be good parents. I spoke to you about Googling about learning how to teach children resilience. There are people that have learned this, there are psychologists, there are all kinds of experts at all of these things. We really need to learn. And there are some courses online that just drops in your email maybe once in a week, to teach you one thing or the other about, being a good parent. Yes. So we can learn.
Yes, and it's an ongoing process,
Yes.
for the parents, for the children.
And one interesting thing is we never end parenting. We never stop. There's no time. There's no point in time.
Yeah,
I just thought about it
forever.
one day and said, okay, there's no time I stopped being a parent.
Yeah, forever.
I lost my grandfather in August. It was very, we're still trying to cope with the grief. But when I went to see him, just some few days before he passed, he said he overheard me talking to my mom about, having conversations, argument with someone. And who is the person that is disturbing my granddaughter? Let me go there. Let me do this. I'm like, what can you do?
Yeah.
But we never stop being parents. And so for every time, every stage in the life of the child, we need to learn what is best and how to do it.
Yes. Well, we're talking about parents. We shouldn't forget about our teachers, because our children spend even
more time with the teachers,
than the parents do.
Yes.
Yeah. And I hope that the teachers are listening, because all of this that we've talked about, allowing the children to try it out, fail forward, and all of that they realize it. Because you know what, where I used to live, I have next door to me a school.
Okay.
And most times I'm so upset at what I hear, or the kind of relationship I see between the teachers and...
What kind of relationship?
Sometimes even the way that the students will talk to
The
teachers.
the teachers, you're wondering that, is this what they are being taught? I mean, there are little soft... Is it soft skills now?
Yes,
Soft
but
skills.
the challenge is, sorry to interrupt you, Gia, this is the challenge we have right now in 2021, and I say this to you with all regard, is that, and I've also even taught, the challenge we have right now is that parents also are the problems with that. Because, gone are the days, so yes, I'm not saying that a teacher should give your child a smackdown, a WWF kind of thing.
I know, right?
But we do not regard teachers anymore. We go to teacher, who are you? Where are you? This thing we do in Nigeria, every day we're talking about who are you? And I'm always wondering, if we don't know who you are, why am I the one telling you? So you're asking who the teacher is, where is he from? You can't talk to my child like that. No. So that teacher is also going to be very careful. In as much as I agree that teachers should not just run wild and just talk to my child or address my child anyhow, but the regard we used to have and the respect we have for education and teachers, in time past is not really what it is. And right now, especially for most private schools, he who pays the piper, he takes the tune.
Yeah.
So don't let me go on, because producers already giving us sign of how many minutes left. But really, that's even another topic for another topic for another day. Yeah,
that's another topic.
That's the challenge right now. That's it.
Great.
Quite agree.
Great.
Okay, I think how many minutes more do we have, dear Adeba? So we have to wrap up. We really have to wrap up. Maybe I'll allow JS take the last question before you.
And the last question actually is my favorite.
Okay, so
and you answered part of it at the beginning, but I'd like you to go over it again.
Okay.
As a parent, when do I start teaching leadership skills? Is it from the cradle, or when they get to age, or when they
there's
can
no
start
there's
talking?
no age. I think it's from the cradle, actually from when they can put the spoon in the mouth. There are different things there are different aspects to leadership.
Okay.
You can teach them how to share.
Sure.
Share this with your sibling, with your mom. Sharing is one of the
skills,
things that children they struggle with. They quite struggle with it, because they feel that the world they own everything.
Yeah.
So we can teach them how to share, teach them empathy, teach them. I think naturally children are emphatic people. So from when they are small, really, there's no age that you say that, when my child is 10, I'll take you to the leadership academy or something.
Yeah.
No. And then we also, like I said, parents should model it. When you finish eating, pack your plates.
Yeah.
Daddy should pack his plate.
Oh yes.
Yes, Daddy, pack your plates. Want me to pack your plates, so your
and
child will follow you and carry.
And then the child too also finishes the food.
But Daddy doesn't do the dishes.
Oh, if the children are not yet old enough to reach the counter.
I'm just joking.
But yes.
Actually, I'm not boasting.
Yeah.
But I even do it in some places, and people wonder, Daddy, why are you taking your plates?
Is this worship thing that we do for?
I know, right?
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Are there any other examples, that you want to share before we round off? you know, where parents can express leadership, like opening the door for mom, the car door.
I think it's for me.
Another little thing.
I think it's everything because, like, you know, like she said earlier on, children, what they
They're
see you
watching.
do, they're not really what you tell them. You can't tell them,
It's
don't
like
yell, and
they
you're
do what you
shouting
do.
down the house. So it's just really literally you do what you do. Yeah.
Mm.
But Cheryl, thank you so much. Thank you so
you.
much for taking your time to come in, you know, this morning and share with us and share your own personal story and, you know, your own life skills you've taught your children as well.
Thank
we
you very
hope
much.
that when we call on you again, you'll come.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to take a break and go to Pharaoh's segment, the wellness segment. And Pharaoh has Steve Harris in the house. And we'll be talking about the leaders of tomorrow. Parents, listen to your children. They are the leaders of tomorrow. Do you remember that
I
song?
didn't know you were
Yes.
such a good singer.
Do you know that song? Yes. Try and pay our school
Uh-huh.
fees and give us sound education.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, let me personally thank Seun as well.
Thank you very
for
much.
coming. And so what now?
Yeah, it's time for Pharaoh's segment. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Great.